Chapter 18. The Last Rest. Night fell slowly over the edges of the Forest of Larethil, wrapping the trees in a veil of deep blue. A short distance from the tree line, the group had set up a simple camp. The fire crackled at its center, casting long shadows across faces that were weary yet alert. Doran chewed enthusiastically on what remained of his ration and nodded with satisfaction. "I'll admit it," he said, gesturing at his plate. "Elven food isn't half bad, but nothing beats a proper stew or a good pork leg." Kael sat down beside Serah, who ate in silence, her gaze fixed on the flames. "So, how is it?" he tried with genuine intent. "How are you feeling?" No answer. Kael tried again, lifting his own plate. "This elven food is fantastic." "I prefer to eat alone," Serah cut in without looking at him. Kael sighed, resigned. Kaelor set his water horn aside. "If all goes well, we should reach Rivershade before midday tomorrow." Lyanna rested Velis across her knees, tracing the runes with her fingers, absorbed. Beside her, Alden stroked Luthera's fur. The she-wolf was calm, though her ears turned at every sound of the forest. The primordial kite kept watch from a branch above. Suddenly, it let out a sharp cry. Luthera growled and rose. Lyanna was on her feet at once. "Something's coming!" Everyone stood. Steel flashed. Tension sharpened their gazes. Shadows shifted between the trees. Around 20 men emerged, forming a semicircle around the camp. "Bandits," Doran growled. Kael gave a crooked smile. "Perfect. I was just looking to let off some steam." Kaelor raised a hand. "We don't want to fight. We carry nothing of value." One of the bandits spat on the ground. "We'll see about that once you're dead." Kael clicked his tongue. "All right, no more talking." And he lunged forward. The fight erupted like a whip crack. Doran charged first, his axe slamming into a bandit's blade and knocking the man to the ground. Kaelor intercepted another with near-ritual precision. Alden spun with Arundel in one hand and his short sword in the other, his movements fluid and controlled, far more so than days before. Lyanna raised Velis. A burst of wind surged forth, flinging two men aside like broken dolls. Serah faced three opponents alone. Her crescent blades moved like a pair of wings. 2 turns, 3 bodies hit the ground. Alden saw a man rush her from behind. He struck without thinking, stopping him with a clean slash. When silence fell, it was over. Less than a minute had passed. Serah looked at him without a trace of gratitude. "I didn't need your help." Alden, still breathing hard, replied, "From where I was standing, it looked like you did." "I had everything under control," she said, turning her back on him. Luthera stepped closer to Alden, brushing his hand with her muzzle. He let out a slow breath. Lyanna and Kael exchanged a look. Confusion, not judgment. They didn't fully understand what had happened, but Luthera did. The next morning, Rivershade came into view. A mid-sized city spread along both sides of a wide river, with dark wooden bridges and lively streets of stone and timber. The main inn, the river's haven, was filled with music and voices. The group took a long table at the back. Doran raised an enormous leg of meat. "This," he declared before draining his mug, "is what I was talking about." Lyanna and Serah frowned. Luthera and the kite rested nearby, alert but calm. An older woman approached, worry in her expression. "Excuse me, but those animals make the patrons uneasy." Alden looked up. "They're part of our group. They're staying." Kaelor stepped in with a courteous bow, slipping 2 coins into her hand. "They won't cause any trouble." The woman smiled at once. "In that case, they're most welcome." A bard shifted the melody to a solemn song, the tale of Arian, hero of the Sword of Dawn. Kael closed his eyes, weighed down by heavy thoughts. Kaelor noticed. "What's wrong?" Kael hesitated. "It used to be just you, Alden, and me. Everything made sense then. Now, everything revolves around him. And I feel like I no longer fit." Kaelor placed a hand on his shoulder. "Kael, you're part of this family, and you'll have your moment. I know it. You're more important than you think." "Really?" "Yes, and besides, you're the cleverest of us," Kaelor said with a smile. Kael raised an eyebrow. "And the most handsome." Kaelor laughed. "Well, that too." The music shifted to a lively rhythm. "Come on," Kaelor added. Cheer up. Kael took a deep breath, as if releasing a weight. Then he stood and bowed theatrically to Serah. Would you grant me a dance? She didn't even respond. Kael laughed and turned to Lyanna. And you? Of course, she said. They joined the floor. Doran lifted his mug. That's the spirit, lad. Alden watched from his seat as Kaelor sat beside him. A moment later, Lyanna returned and held out her hand to Alden. Come on, dance. No, He faltered. She tugged him up. If you can fight, you can move. Alden gave in, awkward but smiling. Lyanna laughed every time he stepped on her foot. Serah watched in silence, impassive. Kaelor, however, looked on with quiet pride. For the first time in days, there was warmth in the air. Outside the tavern, night thickened over the streets of Rivershade. A black raven landed atop a barrel. Among its dark feathers stood a single white plume. The bird tilted its head toward the window where music and warm light spilled out. For an instant, its eyes reflected the scene within. Laughter, dancing steps, relaxed faces. Then, as if something dark stirred it, a liquid shadow slid across the reflection and extinguished it completely. The raven did not move. It only watched. The night closed in around everything.